Thursday, March 8th, 2018.
We got a email from you, and actually, I guess a reference to the Sandusky Improvement District.
Uh-huh.
Explain a little, I mean, is it the count, do we need to do anything? I thought we had talked about that previously, that, you know, we did not need to do anything on that.
No, we do need to do something on that. It's essentially, it's essentially a tax assessment. It's
How
an
much?
assessment on the property. I didn't bring that here, but I want to say it was, well, I remember the initial one was roughly about 9,500. The first numbers they gave me, these last set of numbers were about a little over 8,200
Per year,
per year
for our frontage.
for our frontage, which is essentially the office building and the parking garage. They need 60% of the property owners to approve it, for it to go through.
Do you have any indication where they are, that number? Do they have 59% signed up, or?
That I do not know. I'm assuming what was sent out to us was at the same time sent to all the rest of the property owners.
So this is just in its infancy right now?
This is kind of in its infancy. I know they do want to make a decision sometime this year. They do want our support. Obviously, there's a financial piece to this. You know, the idea is that they're basically going to try to keep that area clean, if you will, and provide other, you know, maintenance services in
And
the area.
what is the area? What's it, geographically, what does it span?
I have to go get the map, but essentially it's, I think it's from Franklin Street west to at least Jackson, and then as you go farther north, and it cuts farther over to, I want to say at least Fulton Street, maybe.
It's a
And
big
then
area.
Up along the shore, all the way over essentially to, at least along the shore over to where the city's transient marina is.
And how much money are they trying to generate to do this?
Between 124, 128,000. I know the original number was like 200,000. Brought that down a little bit.
Yes, sir.
My question on that assessment district is, they need the 60%, if somebody owns 10 buildings, do they have 10 votes? They do?
Yeah, my understanding is this on the frontage on the street, right?
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
So if you,
Right.
if you bring in the people that have the greatest ownership, you might get that 60% much more easily.
mm-hmm.
I don't understand what you mean.
Well,
It's, I thought it was frontage.
It is. Street frontage.
Right. So if I own a 35-foot lot, I don't have as much say as somebody that owns a 200-foot lot?
That's my question.
Yeah, my understanding is yes.
So it's not how many properties you own, it's how much frontage you own.
Yeah, it's how much frontage, so in other words, they need 60% of the frontage to approve.
Well, how much frontage is there?
Don't know, I
I
mean.
mean, it sounds like
I
there'd
guess,
be tens
you
of
know,
thousands of
if
feet
you
of
guys want
frontage.
more, you know, have questions, we can try to get answers on that.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's good information for us to know how many shares, as I describe it, we have. Because I'm reluctant if it's a bubble issue and the people who pay taxes, who are, you know, we have free property down there, you know, if we push this over and, you know, without us, if the city or the business owner said, no, we don't want this, and then we come in with our big building and say.
We're a pretty small percentage of
Okay.
the entire total.
That, I would think so.
I think so, yeah.
I want to say it's under probably 3%.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
Well, I think we'll just I mean, from my perspective, we'll hold off until we see how things are developing. with the business owners down there.
They got a certain time they're trying to do this by, or?
I understand they want it done sometime early this summer. Again, I'm assuming they probably have, whatever the cutoff is as far as getting, an assessment on your taxes, I'm sure that's the deadline they're up against. That might be no.
Howdy.
Good morning. Should we see something?
Sure. For one. No, we're good, thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Go ahead.
All right, we have the approving by mowing on designated roads for 3 years. We have one bid.
Why is that? Why do you think we only got one bid?
Not sure. I think the past, 2 times we bid it in a 3-year program. It's always either 1 or 2 bidders.
Because there's just not a lot of people do that?
There's not a lot of people. We specify a certain type of mowing with the blade and that kind of stuff, and a lot of people just don't have that type of equipment, I would assume. All right, we have Thompson's Interstate Mowing. Their total bid for the 3 years is $100,809.63. It's $100,809.63.
Kathy, is there a bid guarantee or a
Yes,
check
there's
in
a
there?
bid guarantee and bond attached.
Move we turn these over to the engineer's office.
Second?
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Old?
Yes.
Mr. Shenigal?
Yes.
All right, guys? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Do you want to bring them in?
Resolution.
It's not going to take 10 minutes.
Want to read the resolution?
All right, yeah, that's fine.
Motion to award Corso's Landscape Mylan Road for lawn care and ground maintenance.
Second?
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Old?
Yes.
Mr. Shenigal?
Yes.
Hi, Abby.
Thanks, Abby.
Motion to award Mettler Toledo for the scale.
Second?
Mr. Monahan? Mr. Old?
Yes.
Mr. Shenigal?
Yes.
If you agree, motion to reappoint Craig Stahl to another 4-year term on the Mental Health and Recovery Board, Erie and Ottawa County.
I'm not going to second this until the Mental Health Board approves our resolution. I don't think I want to appoint anybody to their board. And we have 2 seats up. I think we have some time on this. It's not up till June, so
Okay.
I'm not going to second it.
Mr. Shenigal, you're not going to second?
No, yeah, I think it's not, I don't know why we're doing it now. Not till June, right?
Well,
How'd it get in there?
Mr. Stahl had called and requested, so he knew what he would have for the next 4 years, or he isn't going to have for the next 4 years.
Yeah, I've talked to Craig.
I talked to him too.
I mean, he's talked with me. I told him, we want these things approved. So he knows.
Okay. Resolution and purpose authorizing payment to Fire Islands Regional Medical Center.
Second?
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Old?
Yes.
Mr. Shenigal?
Yes.
Authorizing payment to the Lucas County Coroner for services provided to the Sheriff's Office.
Second?
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Old?
Yes.
Mr. Shenigal?
Yes.
Authorizing appointment of a tax incentive review council with respect to the Greater Erie County Enterprise Zone.
Second?
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Old?
Yes.
Mr. Shenigal?
Yes.
Authorizing the drawing of warrants and payment of the amounts due upon contract or order.
Second?
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Old?
Yes.
Mr. Shenigal?
Yes.
Declaring certain items surplus and ordering to be discarded or salvaged.
Second?
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Old?
Yes.
Mr. Shenigal?
Yeah.
Authorizing payment, Core and Main for services provided to the Department of Environmental Services.
Second?
I'm sorry, was that the one for payment to Core and Main?
Yeah.
Just a second, I haven't done a roll call yet. Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Old?
Yes.
Mr. Shenigal?
Yes.
Entering into agreement with Ottawa County Common Pleas Court.
Second?
Section observation.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Old?
Yes.
Mr. Shenigal?
Yes.
Entering into an agreement with R&I Construction.
Second?
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Old?
Yes.
Yeah.
Already ended it. You're already ended it.
I know, but isn't that interesting?
I move we recess until the investment board meeting starts.
Second.
Mr. Old?
Yes.
Mr. Shenigal?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
So we have to move to go into the investment board meeting?
Yes.
Second.
Second.
So, did you make the motion?
I did, yeah.
So maybe I can. Mr. Shenigal?
Yes.
Mr. Old?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Crossed out for
Yes, I do, because if you look at it, they printed it off really weird, and it didn't come places it shouldn't have gone. So I did it in copy parts. So there's another full page for your
Right there?
signatures. Yes. So I pieced it together. They emailed it after they signed it, and then they sent it after they signed it. And so it's really.
So it's
weird.
only one place to sign?
Yes. I think you're gonna end up with like 2-page fives.
Yeah.
In order to get all the signatures.
Okay.
Let's see, we made the paper about
Okay.
You're up.
Yeah, I'm not too happy about that.
Good morning.
got one.
Morning.
Yeah.
City.
Exactly. Morning.
All right. We want to flip to page 3. Since we last met, of course, which was back in November, the Fed did meet in December. They did increase the overnight Fed funds target as we expected. Now stands in a range of 1.25% to 1.5%. Fed meets again on March 21st. Actually, it's a 2-day meeting, so March 21st is when they will issue their statement. Market is anticipating that we will have another rate hike at that point, that the overnight Fed funds target will increase from 1.5% to 1.75%. And the market's currently pricing that in with just shy of a 90% probability of that occurring. At the December meeting and in subsequent communications that have come out of the Fed since then, the Fed has pretty much reiterated that we can expect 3 rate hikes in 2017. If that is the case, then we would certainly see that overnight Fed funds target end the year closer to that 2% range. So we're in this path of normalization of interest rates, which is being carried forward from the Yellen chairmanship now over to the new chair of the Federal Reserve, who is Jerome Powell. He just recently, last week, also did the semi-annual testimony to Congress on monetary policy, and again reiterated that we are on the same path for normalization of interest rates. It's assuming that economic conditions play out as they anticipate. If we flip to page 4, We can see that the yield curve has steepened, meaning that the longer-term interest rates have risen higher than what the level where they were at the end of the year. This is a result of course, as the market is pricing in the anticipated improvements in economic growth as a result of the tax reform package being passed, and then now incorporating just overall improved tone of economic growth and opportunities for inflation to increase, particularly as now there is talk of additional trade sanctions being enacted by the U.S. Steeper yield curve has presented some opportunities for us. If we flip to page 5, we can see that globally, global bond rates remain low relative to the U.S. Treasury rates. This continues to draw U.S. dollars into our markets. When we think in terms of particularly other safe haven countries, i.e. Germany and Japan, those bonds, while the yields have increased from where they were at the end of last year, still may remain basically at 0 or below. So again, we can see the impact of the monetary policies from the European Central Bank and the Bank of Japan, what those have had on their interest rates relative to in the U.S., where we have started to raise rates. Page 6, the employment picture. As we know, employment has been very stable at 4.1%, certainly at a level that one could argue is full employment. Participation rate, i.e. the percentage of folks who are working or available to work relative to the population, has also stabilized and currently stands around just under 63%. This environment of very stable employment was one of the key factors which led into the Fed feeling that it was appropriate to start to normalize interest rates. Inflation on page 7, which is the other Fed mandate, continues to move in the kind of the wrong direction, because of course the Fed would like to see inflation start to return closer to their 2% target, and they have even expressed that they would be comfortable if the actual inflation numbers exceeded 2% for some time. That many times when we think in terms of a target, we want to remember it's not necessarily a ceiling, and that they're looking at it as looking at the trend of inflation as well, as opposed to perhaps necessarily the absolute number. But certainly with inflation based on their measure at 1.5%, being lower than their target, it again feeds into a situation where we're in a very stable environment, which allows them to normalize interest rates. We flip to page 5, which is the inflation outlook. This is where the market is telling us where they believe inflation will be over the next 5 years. And we can see that the trend in the inflation outlook has been upward moving. Again, this is a result of the Tax Reform Act, along with concerns that some of the trade policies may be rather inflationary, may create inflation, and additionally the fact that the European economy is starting to improve, and we've seen commodity prices start to increase as well. So the market is pricing in these observations that they've made. Flipping to page 9, this is the interest rate outlook. Again, this is what the market is telling us, where they think that overnight Fed funds rate will be over certain periods of time. And if we focus in on that 5-year mark, what the market is saying is they're anticipating that we will only have 4 rate hikes between now and the next 5 years. So when we think in terms of if we have 3 rate hikes this year, the likelihood of additional rate hikes as far as the market's perspective is very limited. And one would think, well, why would that be? And I believe that when we think in terms of the Fed normalizing interest rates, while they have taken a very slow and measured pace, a very well communicated plan in doing so, there's always the concern that rates will move too far too fast, and that can serve to slow down economic growth, which therefore would warrant the Fed wanting to hold off on any additional rate hikes.
Are the U.S. Treasury, the longer-term treasuries, are they the same, kind of at this stable 5 and 10 years out?
Yes. And the reason being, because the long-term interest rates tend to, not move or be driven based off of different factors. One of the biggest factors the longer-term interest rates are focused on is inflation, the outlook for inflation. As we know, the outlook for inflation is relatively stable. And then additionally, economic growth. So when we think in terms of economic growth, while now we're certainly on the path of some improved economic growth, the markets factors in, I would say, a higher level of uncertainty, because as we look at things longer term, it starts to get a little more fuzzy.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe on the inflation when I look at that graph. Because, I mean, I look in our business, I was just Googling SPF prices on the Canadian and the United States lumber market, and they're up 25% in the last year and a half. And, we're seeing that with all materials, drywall and concrete. I mean, huge gains every year. And it's been going on for 2 years now because they say it's supply,
Yeah.
which I don't believe, but that's what it is. And then with the tariff stuff on steel and
Right.
aluminum coming through now, I just read that that's less than 3% of, the overall picture, gross domestic product. So, I don't know. I mean, you'd think, I know my car costs a lot more money this year than it did last year.
Right.
So how is that? I mean, what isn't going up? There must be something going down or somewhere, right?
Yes, and I think, right, it gets into the details behind how the inflation measures are calculated. And there are two factors which are big drivers in those inflation measure calculations. One is housing, the cost of housing, and they look at what they call a factor related to not necessarily you and I house prices, but how it equates into rent. So owner's equivalent rent, they have some measure. So that factor has tended to, particularly, even though rents have risen, they've kind of stabilized, has served to stabilize inflation. Additionally, they look at things like the increase in what do I use? I don't want to say productivity, but things like on the technology side, how today, right, the price of the new iPhone X is what, $1,000, but that iPhone X has as much capability as something that previous years cost more, so that price per unit has dropped. And so they factor all of those components into their calculation and weight things based off of, again, like you're saying, contributions to that basket that they've determined is what they're looking at.
You keep saying they. Is that political?
No.
Huh.
No, because the Bureau of Economic Analysis does calculate the inflation measures. As a matter of fact, I was looking at this morning.
Are they a government agency?
They are a government agency.
Appointed by the government?
Yes.
So how is it not political? Isn't it to their benefit to make sure that inflation stays low? At least the number you're telling us?
No comment.
It's the same as unemployment.
I don't know.
A lot of more people unemployed. That's why I always ask that number. Unemployed or underemployed?
Well, right. Well, underemployed, right, is a big number.
It's probably a huge number.
There's no question.
Yeah, I just find this, I mean, I'm glad to hear you say that that's what it is, because I want the interest rates to stay low, but on the other hand, I don't believe you.
It's kind of like I don't make the rules, I report them.
Yeah, I
No,
just,
and you raise a very good point, because, right, anecdotally, we all see individually prices having risen. And so there is that disconnect between what we personally realize, or what through businesses we see as far as costs go, compared to the measures that the government does release. Yeah.
Right.
There is that disconnect there. And that has been there, I think, for quite some time. But truly, one of the factors that does feed into it is this whole technology thing and how we are so, it's such a big part
Yeah.
of our nature now, and the costs of those continue to drop relative to the service or the capabilities of them.
Right, but if they weight that heavier than the cost of a 2x4,
Yeah.
then they will be able to give us a lower inflation number.
Right.
And I don't care what they say, I'm only buying one iPhone, but I'm gonna buy a car, and I gotta buy milk,
Yep.
and I gotta buy my groceries. I don't know about you, but aren't your groceries costing a lot more than they used to? Maybe it's just
definitely more expensive.
yeah, buying. All right, sorry, I
That's okay.
digress.
Well, it's funny you say it's because, just a little side note, I know I'm short on time always, but my husband just picked up the information from our insurance company, our homeowners insurance company, where they assess the replacement value of our home. I said, how in the world can the replacement value on our home be so high? Because we sure the heck could never sell it for that. And he said, again, just to your point, well, the cost of building has just gone up because those component parts are just more expensive. The beams, the 2x4s, the drywall.
Which you would think would be weighted to the heavy side of the inflation number versus the iPhone,
Yeah.
because that's a lot bigger thing, your house.
To our generation. My young neighbors across the street would probably disagree with me. So anyway, on to page 11, the portfolio review. So when we look at the county's portfolio at the end of February here, of course, the cash was highly bloated because collections had just been completed and settlements had not been made. But focusing in on the securities, weighted average maturity was 2.44 years, up a bit from last time. We were at a little over 2 years. So as that yield curve steepened and we took advantage of those higher rates that were available, we did purchase items in those last two buckets, in the 3 to 4 year and 4 to 5 year buckets. And that was, as we had discussed, was our intent when we last met. The weighted average yield on the securities has increased to 1.66%. That's up from 1.49%. So naturally, that will generate a higher level of interest income for the county. We look at the maturity distribution. At this stage, we still have 27% of the funds maturing here in the next year. That will provide us with sufficient maturities to be able to reinvest and take advantage of this rising interest rate environment. So that being said, as we anticipate that more of that movement will occur in the shorter end as opposed to the longer end, we would look to add just a little bit more out in that 3 to 4 year bucket, but most of the reinvestments will be more in the shorter term and riding up that rising interest rate. Also included in the following pages, the individual holdings of the county. So any questions, more comments?
So this stuff you bought like at Morgan Stanley at 2.67,
Yep.
that term is 5 years, looks like,
Right, the original term was 5 years.
and you can get 2.67 on that.
Yes.
Why don't we do more of that?
As we have maturities, we will look to whether it makes sense to add more in the longer term, that 3 to 4 or 4 to 5 year bucket.
Yeah, I mean, if you can shift that portfolio over to 2.67, you double your money. Most years it's at 1%.
Right. The alternative is that some of the short-term interest rates have moved up here, such that, we can invest in short-term commercial paper, which is permissible under the code, say for 270 days now, which is 9 months, at a rate that would be around a 230.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's the problem that you're dealing with, is that with this interest rate environment, that you can capture more even on the short end.
Right.
That, 2 or 3 years out,
Yeah.
you're actually probably gonna be behind the 8 ball.
Well, and that's an interesting point, because that is certainly one of the things that we look at as, I would call, almost characterized as a break-even analysis. You know, when does it make sense to lock things up longer
Yeah.
term
Yep.
versus short term, and kind of the law of numbers. If you know you can get, and we'll just use this as a simple example, 1% for 1 year and 1.5% for 2 years, you say, well, I'm going to wait because I think rates are going to rise. I'm only going to invest in the 1 year at 1%. Well, in order to earn the same overall level, that 1 year rate has to move up to 2%. So it would have to double in order for us to be at a break even. So many times we always want to be cognizant of the fact that as we look at the investment decisions, on a report basis, right, we're looking at a point in time, but when we're making those decisions, we're looking at across the projected term of the investment.
Did you just say, though, that you can get 2.3 on 9 months?
Yes, that would be on commercial paper.
So what's commercial paper mean?
Commercial paper is our short-term corporate obligations issued by high-quality corporations.
Stanley?
Yeah.
Really?
JP Morgan, Coca-Cola, yes, they do issue short-term debt in the marketplace. There's criteria that they must meet in order to be a permissible investment under Ohio Revised Code. We take it meter one step further. We do additional due diligence. We do independent credit research on each of these issuers to make sure that they are truly solid. Don't just take the, say, S&P or Moody's ratings criteria on face value.
You can't do that like an individual or a corporation can't do that. Only a government can get that?
Oh, no, individual or corporation, yes, could.
Can do that?
Mhm.
2.3.
Yes. Yes. Well, and let me put a qualifier there. The higher rates are generally available by issuers who, I would say, cater or market to institutional clients. So meaning that, you know, us as an advisor, when we go to the marketplace, we may be going to the marketplace to buy, say an issuer may have a minimum order size of $10 million.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right, you as an individual, if you're just individually going, not going to be able to get that security, or a corporation if you're going individually. But as an advisor, we then say, okay, Erie County needs $1 million, Portage needs 2, Lake needs 3, Sandusky City Schools needs $1 million. We
Yeah,
put it right
pull it,
together,
right.
pull it all together. We're able to go to those issuers and purchase their investments then.
Okay.
So that allows us, you as then an investor, to take advantage of those higher opportunities that are available in the marketplace.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome.
I have a question on page 2 of 8 here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
On,
Page what? I'm sorry? 2 of 8.
here.
Okay.
back, Yeah, in this section.
Mm-hmm.
The cash and equivalents, you got an estimated annual income at 828.
Right.
7. That's based on the current cash
Right.
on hand right now.
At that point in
It's gonna
time.
change
Right.
relatively soon.
Yes, exactly, right.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
We have paid a lot out already, though.
Yeah,
In March.
I know,
No, I mean.
the
for like-
advances to the schools.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so half of our money for settlement.
Right, it's
almost
already,
half is already gone.
Right.
So it's not in here.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, it would be even a bigger number.
right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Anything else?
nope,
Thank you.
thanks.
There's what I'm talking about. See, it's one, first quarter 17 at 350. That's over 525. And that's everything. Across
I
the
need a motion to reconvene.
So moved.
second.
Mr. Old,
Yes.
Mr. Shenigo,
Yes.
Mr. Monahan.
Yeah.
Get a haircut?
I did.
See that?
What happens when you have a clipper malfunction when the attachment's not on?
You got them all. Boy, you got your money's worth.
Asked her to be excused from the budget session.
You get a haircut? You guys look good as twins. You look a lot meaner. Now, remember, you got a couple of free hours now. What you want to go work on?
You call it free. Otherwise, occupied.
More papers. Not changing much.
Not a whole lot.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming in.
Here's the thing.
Do you need me to switch over?
Not yet. We'll see. Here.
Melissa, is this the same packet we were working out of Monday?
No.
This is different.
We
This
still have to
is
finish.
General fund and non-general fund combined. Those are all the
So this
open
is
requests.
that
That's it. Those are
Okay.
the ones that are, we still have open items.
All right, let's go for a speed record today. Don't let us impede you.
You got that already?
Yeah, I got it. Those periodicals. Jeez, worth.
Updated cash flow.
I got two of them.
I've heard that.
There's no prices.
Yeah, no, read. Oh, she didn't include the email. That would just be very difficult. She said it would be very difficult to calculate
Calculate what?
the price of each one of those.
Why?
They fluctuate.
Well, just give us a snapshot.
That's what I said. They're going to. I
Let's
asked.
do it on record.
Okay.
Well, thank you for this, but there's no prices.
I know.
I need prices.
I asked for that.
I'll ask again.
And I got this.
They're not a steady figure. It's
So I
variable.
sent another email back saying, can we get at least 17?
Prices.
Right.
Broken down, yeah.
Right.
That's already paid. Can't vary once it's paid.
Right. Fine. When you see my email, I put that exact thing.
Okay. You know, we talked about, I was down there the other day with Gary, getting ready for the move. I don't know why, but Gary didn't know why either. Somebody has stuck a block in that door holding it open now. I don't know why yeah, I don't know why. It
In the
doesn't
main entrance?
No, down, going into the law library, yeah.
That's what I mean, their main door?
Yeah, I don't know why that was. I've never seen it before, but we should make sure, you know, that should be shut. Nobody's in there. Stuff could get stolen or,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've seen it with a block in it, like if we had scheduled a budget hearing, she would do that
Yeah, no,
so
there
that
was,
we could get in
there
without.
was some guy sitting there, but there was a block in the door. I mean,
Kind of a tall guy, blonde hair, glasses.
You were given a lot of information based on some questions and such from the last meeting. Don't know if you want to go through any of that, or if you just want to go at the packet of budget summaries. We think those are the open issues, the ones that we need, you know, thumbs up, thumbs down.
I think
You're the
just
boss.
start with the packet.
Do the
Yeah.
packet, and if you have a question, maybe one of the attachments that you were given may help.
yeah. Let's go through these 32
Okay.
items.
Now, there's some I'm anticipating because you have a visitor at 11:15. We'll just skip over those for now, so
Yeah.
there actually isn't 32 that we're going to go through at this time, but we'll do them one at a time.
Yes, sir.
Mr. IT had a couple of unanswered questions, and I know Carolyn likes for the minutes to have a yes, no, a clear so that we can go back.
Well, you're gonna have to, at least for my sake, because I can't remember, what is ISB funding and Sophos renewal and UPS? Would you explain those quickly one more time?
ISB last year, because the public defender needed to replace a number of computers, we reallocated some of the ISB funding to him because he could then get reimbursed.
What's ISB mean?
Information Services Board.
It's to buy
Oh,
computers.
okay.
Yeah, it replaces
Just buy
computers.
Desktops, essentially.
Isn't that the 50,000 that we have
Yes.
in his fund?
Yes, but we cut it last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cut it last
it's
year?
fine to move that back. That was a one-time purchase.
It was reallocated last year for a one-time. That's how we saw it, but we needed to make sure that you
Oh, okay.
concurred.
Yeah,
Okay?
so putting it back in that fund?
Right.
Yeah, okay, yes,
So that's a yes.
good idea. And then the 3-year Sophos renewal,
It's the best price he gets. You can buy a 1 year, but you end up paying more over the 3 years, and I think he feels,
what is Sophos again? I have Sophos on my wireless speakers at home. This isn't wireless speakers, I assume.
No, this is our,
anti,
huh?
It's our
Yeah, it's our
antivirus.
antivirus
antivirus.
software.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotta do that. And then the capital UPS. What was that again?
Universal power
The,
supply.
Yeah, battery backup, yeah.
Okay, we're already assigning that into the new computer fund we set up. for
Yes,
capital.
and that's why I have Fund 41051 next to it. We're just gonna pay it out of that. So
Out of
it's
the 50,000.
No,
it's
out
No.
of
gonna come out of that
his
particular.
IT capital fund.
We
non-general
put,
fund.
so we put 300,000 in that.
For IT capital expenses.
Right.
Purchase a capital item out of there rather than out of his operation budget.
Right. Okay,
That's okay?
yeah.
Is that okay to do 220?
And the,
I didn't hear the 220.
no, the cell phone increase?
What's
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, that was an easy one. Number 2, page 2 is the prosecutor's office. I think the real issue there is what's going to happen with the timekeeping requests that this department, as well as, I know we tried to,
I think we've come to a conclusion, haven't we, on that? I think Pete's recommendation was we're not gonna do that
Or at least countywide.
countywide, yeah.
Yes, we were. The only thing that I question is, they gave you 210 as the annual fee. You know, the proposal I got from the auditor's office says it's $34 per employee, 26 employees here, it's $884. It's $1,050 a day to have the technician come here. So they're saying this is over 3 days to have the technician here, to set up 26 employees? Are you kidding me?
Well, and then not only that, Gary told us that, we said, well, you gotta start punching a time clock, and he goes, no, you don't. All you do is just set it up that you work 8 to 4.
Yeah,
or
your
8 to
sa- your
5,
salary
Set
and
your salary,
you're
and
done.
away you go. So I'd say it's a waste of money.
those systems can be set up on exception base so that the only time you do anything is if you're off on a vacation day, a sick day, whatever. I mean, you know what your holidays and things are going to be at the beginning of the year. But,
Well, I think
yeah,
what we said with Levada is if they can find it in his budget,
Right.
go ahead and do it.
You're not
And
going to
what Pete's
prevent the
saying is
purchase,
This
but you're
shouldn't
not going
be
to
3,500, it should be
If you wanna do
1,000.
it, fine, find it within your current budget, but otherwise.
Make
they're
it work.
giving you Additional money for it.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
if they
but guys,
can't,
remember, you got one problem with that. If the budget is this, and last year he used this, now he's gonna use this, guess what? Next year, the budget will be bigger. You know, when you look at everybody's deal, let's look at,
no, but we're not putting any more money in there.
But if you look at his number, I mean, the only place he may actually have some
no, he's got,
extra funds is maybe he does something with his staffing, because other than that, you know. the rest of it's
There's not much
pretty
else
tight.
there.
Yeah, the rest
well,
of
he's
it's-
93, he spent 91, and he's got almost 94 this year. So he's got enough money to do this just on,
Theoretically, he could make a decision to not buy something this year that he normally buys.
Pretty, I mean, it's fairly tight budget.
Yeah,
so.
it seems to be pretty consistent, but yeah, they could make a judgment call, I suppose, and then the reoccurring cost doesn't appear to be.
I mean, I would tell him, see if he can do it, and if he can't, and if it's something he really wants, come back and maybe we can find a couple $1,000 later and,
Mhm.
you know, put it up. But I would expect forever the annual cost to come out of his budget.
Yeah,
I know
that's-
that's a
With
small
no
number, but-
increase.
Yeah, the extra, I mean, again, the majority of this is a one-time cost.
Yeah.
Right.
The annual is not a whole lot.
That's what I'm saying, but
Yeah.
that just needs to be absorbed.
But again, you know, the way, the breakout that you guys gave us just doesn't match what the auditors gave us as far as the one that we have system-wide.
Right, this is what we were told by the department. And we did get one phone call inquiring where this was, because they were ready to go, and I said, we were hoping to have firm decisions today.
Well, I mean, I think we see that they have that money in their supply line right now.
And that's, you know,
So,
we'll communicate that
yeah, that's the answer.
you can make it work, go ahead, or you want to come back later and,
Yeah.
okay.
Next.
Starting on page 3,
14, Judge Stone.
Yeah.
Page 15.
Yep, page 15.
Go ahead.
My feeling is that if we were not to give them the additional dollars, that during the course of this year, they probably will have the funds available that they could reallocate. But that's, you know,
That's the 740 for attorney fees. and
Right.
7,508 for court
Right.
fees.
Okay.
Okay.
and if it, like the previous budget, if during the course of the year something goes south that they didn't think would be a problem,
Yeah, I don't object.
there's always an open mic.
I don't object to this, but if they want to come back, that's, if they can make it happen, make it happen. If not,
Give it some time.
come back. Yeah.
Okay, that was just the attorney fees and the court view, right?
Right,
What about the personnel, oh, that's already in, never mind, I'm sorry.
yeah, that was already in. Page 16, general fund detention home.
I think we said we're okay with the bonuses.
Just making sure that's a yes?
Yeah.
Okay. That was the only issue there? The reclaim budget outside the general fund? That's just noting, we don't need to have that listed in, it's just, that's the department that created the need.
Okay.
That's more of an FYI. DYS, we did ask if they could include in their grant request. There was a couple of items with Gary Wilnow's budget. I think it was installation, and she said she'll put it in.
Insulation and the HVAC
In the pods,
The pods,
yeah.
there was some, yeah.
Controllers or,
Yeah,
essentially
That-
air movement.
yeah.
yeah.
She said they'll,
alternative
they'll,
ceiling.
they'll apply for it so we can see if they get it awarded, which would knock down our cost.
And that cost is in facilities budget?
Correct.
Okay. Probate court, judicial,
I've made a couple of attempts to get some clarification from the judge on the timing and what type of person she'd be looking for, internal, external. Haven't had any success getting a good answer.
I don't know, what does that mean? Does she,
We don't know any more than we did weeks ago, but there is definitely going to be a retirement.
And we have a date though, right?
Yes. Well, the person actually will stay on payroll through this year. Their retirement date is early in 19.
well, let's
But
talk
they
about it
will,
later.
they will be not working for over a month, using their accrued leave and such, so. Their initial request was to try to get somebody on board like around July.
What's the date she gonna retire?
I'm sorry?
What date is she retiring, supposedly?
It'll be, she'll burn up all her time in January of 19, but she's planning to leave like, start using vacation, like around Thanksgiving.
Well, let's talk about it then.
That's fine. I mean,
So you want to say no for now?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know anything, we don't know anything.
need more information.
Yeah. Clerk of Courts, Judicial.
This is pretty much like the prosecutors, and I think it's more obvious that I think there's funding appears to be available based on the past actual spending. If they want to make it work, I think there's a way to make it work.
So that's in alternate A supplies.
Right. Well, actually, it's in services. The supplies was fairly small, but
Did we say yes to LexisNexis and find it in your budget for the other, or find all three of them?
I'm thinking, based on what they spent last year,
All three?
I think all three of those
Okay.
can work without us giving more money at this time.
Okay.
Okay.
And then what about the insurance on the single family? We said yes on that, didn't we?
Well, I think when that,
We don't have a
It's-
choice, do we?
that again is going to be a retirement. And at the time, they did not have a definite date, but they said for sure the person will not be here all year.
So again, we can talk about it in June.
When you get something firm, give us a call.
Okay. Title?
I think the handicap door, well, I mean, those have already, we have them listed as out, so unless you want
We're
to,
done, yeah.
yeah,
Are
if
they
you want
off
to change
this
them,
sheet?
you can, but
No, there's
Not
no.
general fund. I
Oh,
always-
okay.
We
Whoops.
put them together by 20 authorities.
Yep, you're fine. Sorry.
Facilities?
facilities, oh, that darn Gary Will now, he keeps putting things in the budget the longer we wait. I guess the Ability Works property,
Yes, it's not gonna be anywhere near that.
Oh, you mean the mowing?
the mowing, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean. what
Probably
we
closer to
took
5.
out, That's gonna be 10. We've
It's
taken-
5,
Huh?
probably closer to 5.
Oh, yeah, we don't know that, I mean,
I do.
okay. And then was 3,000 for, from last year's cost to this year's cost.
The bidders were higher this year.
Bids were higher.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So what, we're gonna add 8,000 for that?
Guess, yeah.
Try 8 and see what
Is that
happens.
on here? Why am I not seeing
Carolyn,
That's
put it
all
on
right.
the sheet. I just marked it. You crossed the 13th out, and then
Oh,
it'll
okay.
be 5 plus the 3.
Gotcha.
So the 270,000, we've already went through that with Gary when we were in Vermillion, right?
Yes.
And that's done. Yes? Is that done? Did we,
We have to get final answers on some of these.
It might be easier to go to the more
Go down.
detailed
Next
page.
page.
The
Got
second
it.
page, yeah. Page
Okay.
23.
Let me ask you this, you know, you got a total of 270,000
Yeah, I know, I just
out of this one
noticed
sheet
that.
is 230.
I think it was because when I changed the amounts, I don't think it got carried over on here. That's the only thing I can think. I just saw that.
Oh, probably the JJC. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than that. 40,000, so JJC's 20. Close to the other
The
20.
only thing is it's the HVAC. That 38, I don't know, I have to run it. But that 230, that's not right. The 270 is the number.
Well, you got 230 on the big sheet, though.
Yeah, no, I just noticed that. I think the difference there is that HVAC upgrade, but I have to run a calculator on it to see if that's what the difference is.
So you want to go one by one down this list?
That's probably the best.
I think the law library's an in.
Now, if we don't spend that, we don't spend that.
Correct.
Well, again, I will caution you on, actually, with everything that's on here, we can either, we have two choices. We can pay it out of the general fund, we can pay it out of our capital improvements fund.
No, I think pay it right here.
Okay,
So, I mean, at this point, if you change the 230 to the 270, right? Which it should be anyway. Can we say, you know, because there's so many questions on Gary's stuff, you know, pod fans waiting on quote on the JJC. We may get that money from the state. But would we be smart, oops, that one's out, sorry. I picked a bad one. Would we be smart to approve this as is? This is probably a Pete question more than anything else. And then we still have to look at them as they come in when the final numbers come, yes?
well, usually, if, how this works is if you guys are saying, yes, go through with it, then we're going through with it, regardless of, unless the prices come in ridiculously different than what we expected.
Well,
So essentially, if you say yes, you're green lighting it.
but the problem is on the, like the first item that we're looking at here, if that comes in for $40,000 or $50,000 versus $90,000, we don't want a green light to spend $90,000. We still want to do this as economical as we can.
Yes, obviously.
I think if you give it a green light, they're going to proceed and do the best they can with it. Whether that means if you have to spend more, you have to spend more, but if you're less, then fine.
And I think what you're concerned with is, say, if it is less, then that extra money sitting out there, just somebody go spend it for something else.
Bingo.
Well, we approve all the purchase orders and that kind of stuff that goes through, so.
Well, you know, those courthouse upgrades are more money than that.
Or, the other
aren't
thing
they, Melissa?
you could say is, okay, move forward with the project, once we find out what the real money is, we'll adjust the budget. There's pretty much your other choice.
I like that idea. That'd be the choice for me.
So
When they bring up, Pete, like a supplemental, asking for whatever it might be after the fact.
Yeah, but I will caution you like this one, especially to say this first one. This is something we really need to move on quickly.
We are.
Yeah, but we only meet once a week to change budgets. If we need a purchase order in earlier in the week, we gotta wait till Thursday till we change the budget.
We won't. I mean, nothing, if we do the construction piece, it's nothing urgent. Yeah, I think we're okay. But like the next one, the courthouse capital, Judge Tone, I got all those different estimates, and I think it's way more than 50.
Just a little over 50.
There's a lot over 50.
Really?
The chairs, yeah, there was stuff in there that I didn't even know about. Extending the bench.
Yeah, he
The
mentioned
one?
that.
Am I wrong?
No, Gary sent me numbers, not that, it was
I
a
got 'em too.
little over 50, it was like 51 or 52.
Was it?
Yeah.
With the bench and
Yeah.
stuff I didn't even hear about.
Carpet, bench, the reupholstering.
He mentioned that when we were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
That it's 50,000?
Yeah, you have the estimates?
I don't have the estimates, that's Gary's estimate of what the costs are gonna be, I don't have the physical estimates.
But we did see the physical estimates.
Yeah, I have them on my
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you saw them, because I just saw them, like the actual reconstruction estimates.
Well, like this one, we could probably do it at 52 and be good.
Huh?
Like this one, we could do it 52 instead of the 50, because that's the number. It was just barely over it.
Well, why don't we say tentatively, of course, we've got kind of a lot of questions coming up at 11:15.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should, wait and see how that all turns out.
Good. After we do that, then come back in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So in other words, these are okay, but no dollars yet,
Yeah.
at least those two.
Sheriff?
To the HVAC.
I think they're,
So we're okay with the office building HVAC? We know that number.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
okay?
Oh, you want to do them individually?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
That's okay?
We're going back.
Yeah.
We're going back.
Parking lot was okay. UPS replacement, I thought that is potentially 50% over on the state side, right?
Maybe we
So I
were,
remember-
we were only talking about the two, so this would be 3 for over there.
Yeah. This is the extra one that they need to ask for the state. This was the batteries are going bad. We could do it with batteries, or we could fix it once and for all. But I think he said in Vermillion that it was half the state too. So that'd be another thing to add to their list.
We could.
So does that mean we're not approving the whole 19.5, or that is our?
I think we are gonna have to not do anything because, remember Gary said we could get one more year on $3,000 worth of batteries. Or no, 2 more years, did he say? Do you remember?
Well, I think the batteries are more,
Couple years.
more like 4, 5, 6 years. Just the batteries, it's just that, on this, the hardware and the circuitry of the system is, you can't get replacements.
Right.
That's the issue. If
Well-
that fails, you gotta get a whole new system.
Well,
That's part of it.
but wouldn't you like, instead of spending 20, to only spend 10?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
let's-
let the state spend the other 10, yeah.
Well, that's, I mean, what
We can
sounds
just
like we're
budget 10.
yeah, we're gonna know on this state thing pretty quick, aren't we?
I think we won't know that till probably
June, July.
August or September.
yeah, it's August or September.
Let's see if these batteries will hold out till August, and then make a decision then.
You can do that.
I mean, if we just say, okay, we're never gonna get the money from the state, because, I mean, they weren't even gonna ask for it. So,
So you want to say no for now?
Or yes to 3,000 on batteries.
I'd say no for now, and, I mean, if anything, you need to put the 10 in, what Pete's saying, for half of it. I mean, it makes more sense to replace the equipment, especially if we can get 10 more out of the state. But until we went through this exercise, we didn't even know to ask for it. So, So put that on the list for them for the third thing to ask for.
So you're thinking put 10,000 in right now?
That's what Pete's saying.
And we're not replacing batteries, we're just gonna stick out with the batteries that we have.
Yeah, we're just, well, hopefully, we're gonna have an answer, or at least an indication from those folks here in the next few months, can we add it or not? Right, if we can't add it, then we're gonna have to go to Plan B.
Okay. The next one is replacing some of the sidewalks and courtyard pavers out here. I know we talked about a different plan with that.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at that again, I mean, it'd be nice, but I don't know if I wanna be the guy that's spending $11,000 to make the sidewalk prettier.
I'm ambivalent.
Yeah, you have people trip over those things that they're coming up, we're gonna spend a lot more than
Yeah, that's, I mean, that's the real reason we're asking is more of, this is more like trip hazards.
Is that eligible for CHIP money? Handicap accessibility?
Sure it would be.
G maybe.
Yeah, so why don't we
CDBG.
pay for it out of that?
That, well, you know, you gotta put that in the next year, next grant, so that's.
Well, it's not that bad. I don't think it's gonna cost $11,000. He was
I know
supposed
that.
to see if we could get the engineer to tear it out.
Right,
Did he find that out?
I do not know.
Well, let's leave it in and we'll just make that, you know, he's gotta come back to us. Would you just say the term? That's one of the ones he's gotta prove his numbers.
Yeah,
Is some of this stuff just estimates, Pete, basically?
No, he got quotes on that, I think.
That's a
Because
quote.
Unless it says GW estimate, they're quotes.
Yeah, I just think he can do
Like here,
better.
he's got a quote from 2016,
Right, that is for the carpet and probate.
yeah.
Okay, so what do we decide
We
on
need-
the pavers?
We're gonna make him come back and prove the numbers later. Need more intel.
Even though he's already got a quote?
Yeah, even though he's already got a quote, it's not
I
right.
think we can do it less.
Yeah, we think we can do it less. So that,
Zero in for now? Is that what we're doing?
I don't know. You can, I think just leave it
Just
in.
leave it, yeah, just
Yeah.
leave it as it is, but,
We'll
I mean,
just-
just let him know that
Okay.
there's expectations to cut that down.
Did anybody go look at the carpet? I did not, in the probate court. Last time I was in there, which is probably in 16, didn't look that bad to me.
We saw it when we were up there for a budget meeting. I mean,
What'd you
it's,
think?
it's flat. It's not a trip hazard.
Does it look okay?
I mean, there's spots that it's a little worn from a chair rolling on it, but, I mean,
So no. All right.
So that's a no?
No.
Window cleaning, we beat
Oh,
that
skip
horse.
the
Oh,
jail.
jail, I'm sorry, jail shower conversion, we said yes to that.
Yes.
And the window cleaning, yes. Pipe insulation was what we just talked about. That's the one you gotta go ask the state for. Tuck pointing and sealing. I think we said yes to that, right? He had pictures of it.
Yeah, he had pictures. It looked,
Bad, yeah.
it looked like it needed it, but I've not looked at the whole building.
But, I'm sorry, you're not what?
No, that's if, yeah,
Oh.
that's good.
It's okay?
Battery replacement was yes.
Yeah, you gotta do that.
So the CCF end, it would be yes, right, for the pipe insulation? Or is that the grant
That's the
one?
community,
that's the state
that's the
side.
state side.
That's the
Yeah,
state
that's the
side.
state, yeah.
All right, so that's the one, that's the same thing as the JJC, right? So we should have said yes to the
You should have said- Yes,
4,555.
because that's our side.
Okay,
So that is in,
yes. And then the JJC side is,
wait.
wait.
But are we leaving it? We have to say yes or no. Are we
Well,
leaving it in and waiting?
I think leave it in
Yeah,
and then.
just wait,
you know,
okay.
Just waiting.
Okay.
So we're putting the 2,780 in
Yes.
Yeah,
and the 4,555.
but waiting, yeah. These are all caveats, so. And then the window cleaning, you can change to 800 because we just approved the courthouse.
Okay, I'm sorry, can we go back, the 4,555 for the pipe insulation and the chase, that's the detention.
That's
ash.
ours,
So
yeah.
That's a yes.
yes.
Okay.
But it's conditional, they can't do that without doing the state side at the
Okay.
same time. That's the problem.
Will someone talk to Gary about Pam Farrell's window? The one window, there's water coming in between the window and the wall.
Right.
I mean, someone needs to look, I don't know why I can't get this on any list, but will someone please say something to him
I've
to go,
said something too.
to go,
More food.
to go look?
It actually leaks.
Yeah, I mean, there was water coming through it, so it definitely needs addressing.
Thank you for putting these out there and filling this jar again. It's very nice, whoever did it.
All right, non-skid flooring at north basement entrance.
The window cleaning is in for the office building?
Yes.
But $800.
But you gotta change it to
At
$800.
Yes.
I don't know what that, I've never seen this north non-skid flooring at north.
Oh, that's down at the end of the hallway in the
There's a
basement. There's
slope
like a
there.
little, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of peeling
It's
up.
not that bad, though.
I rarely go down there,
I'd say no.
so let's just hold off on it.
Yeah.
No?
No.
Next. Sheriff.
Stop and do FCFC. Or do you want to come back?
What am I missing? I thought we didn't replace the three. Pete,
What's that? The three what?
personnel requests.
Mid-year, yes. That was the agreement. He's holding off until mid-year to hire them. They're vacant now.
Right, I think didn't we say we're gonna leave them out? And get the cruisers.
32,260? Yeah, I don't know what that is. Oh, is that the part-timers? Yeah, I don't,
Yeah, that was the two.
oh, no, I
that's-
see, no, that's the training.
Which,
Where are you?
I'm
oh,
on
you're on the scorecard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that
on-
30, they had asked for additional training dollars, and we never had a clear yes or no.
Page 25 has the detail of what that is.
Yeah,
Okay.
that has nothing to do with,
But go back to 24, when we said personnel requests includes 3 replaced as of June 28th, it's in.
Yeah,
I thought you said that you guys talked to him, and we were gonna get the patrol cars, and we were gonna wait till next year to see if he needed to hire those 3 guys again. Remember this story?
I thought the patrol cars, he was gonna get 2 out of the general, 2 out of his,
Yeah, I'm not talking about that, though, but the 3 guys that are,
right,
I think they're retired now, right?
Yes, they're gone.
yeah, they're all gone now.
And Ziggy said, wait till half a year and see if we need them.
That's not the way I remember.
No?
I think he was holding off on picking the 3 up because he needed the salaries from those 3 to pay out the overtime.
Yeah, I remember that.
right.
So
But
he's
I
just
think-
using this to build
But I
up his
think,
money.
yeah, I think this was just a in his mind, it was always a temporary thing till June.
Right,
That's my
exactly.
understanding.
Of course, I thought the question was, well, if you can get by for 6 months without them, maybe you don't need them.
Good point.
I mean, hello, what am I missing here?
Nothing.
Well, you just want to have him come back in,
Like in June? or
June and
like
July
May,
and-
Yeah.
well,
See
this
how
is
he's
June
doing?
30th.
Is that money, how much money is this that's in? It's a lot, right?
I don't ever know.
Yeah, it's hundreds. I mean,
It's definitely in the 6-figure range.
yeah, that's what I was trying to,
Close to 200, isn't it?
Could be, yeah. I mean,
Sure.
we have 3.
No,
Not,
150.
yeah,
maybe.
not for half a year.
I mean, we gotta be paying attention to this page when we're doing this page. Take it out of this page, Got that problem.
Can we leave it in and make it contingent on him coming back to us?
That'll never happen.
Well, he probably will be with the contract.
Well, my thinking was maybe he could delay hiring those people a little longer, use some of that money to put down on his body scanner, and then if he needs to borrow money from us to pay it, to make that, to lower his payment, so to speak.
Well, if you saw my email, he got a 10,000, well,
Yeah.
he can get a 10,000
From
grand if we
Corsair.
buy it soon.
Right.
Well, 10,000 isn't a whole lot.
Well, but, you saw my email, I said, well, just keep going, maybe there's some more of those grants out there.
There's not.
Well, how do you know until you look? I mean,
Again,
the
this is through
guy's
Corsa.
magic, he found $500,000 to buy an armored vehicle. He ought to be able to find $100,000 for a body scanner.
Yeah.
And you know how good he is, because the sheriff over in Huron County said the body scanner costs $250,000.
That's true.
We must be getting the Amazon special.
Yeah. Must be. Oh, so you don't have the two cruisers built in here?
Yes,
Yeah, they're up
that's
top.
up top, 87,000.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Where are they?
Capital up above,
Yeah.
at $87,000, that's the two cruiser costs.
Two we put in the special.
Right, SRO,
And then the last one out of capital improvements?
yep, yep.
Just like we did last year?
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Sally.
Wait, explain that. I get that. How do these numbers work down at the bottom? 187.
Okay, so there's 187.5.
Mm-hmm.
That goes down to 100,005. 87,000 is already built up into the budget.
Oh, okay. But
Yeah, what's the,
we're not spending 100,000 out of capital, right? That's just, you're putting that,
That's why it says out, it's for illustration. So they're out, two of them are coming out of SRO, one's coming out of capital.
yeah, okay.
So that additional 100,500.
And that's what that
is
number
coming from
is.
other funds.
Okay. Okay.
But
But that's,
it's
it's
out
an
of this
in, we're
budget.
purchasing it,
Right,
but it's,
just out
I
of,
got it.
out of 3,200.
Okay,
It won't be paid out of 3,200.
I get it.
So really, the two things that we've got outstanding are, is you already went over the training, which I said, okay, right? Is a phone analyzer for 10 grand. Which in the days of cell phones, this is kind of
important?
I think we should, but I think we should buy the phone analyzer and the stove and oven out of our capital funds.
This is more of a service.
I think isn't it a piece of equipment?
No, it's software.
Is it?
Software, yeah. Didn't say on this, part-time increases, that says out.
It's just not in the budget right now.
What did we say yes to that?
We can put it in.
I thought we said yes to the part-time increases for $1. Remember he gave us an analogy of $1, $2, and $3?
We did, I thought, kind of like split the baby on the courthouse people. Thought we went to like 1550
I thought that was the number we had, yeah.
for that, but I didn't know that that was applying to anyone else.
I thought that was across the board.
Yeah, I thought so too.
It is now?
So 24,975 is in.
But that number's gonna go up a little bit.
It would
right?
have to change a little bit, yeah.
We're gonna have to add that to the long sheet then, because it's not reflected on the long sheet.
Okay.
And Pete, you said the training had been approved?
I think so. Just said okay to that, right?
So instead of at 75, it would be 107?
Where's that at?
Page 25?
That was the first thing you were asking about, Pat. At 32,260. You were thinking that was for bargaining? It's not.
What is that?
It's for this training account.
What does that do? Explain it one more time.
Well, essentially what it is for our guys to go out and get all this training.
$29.
Somebody has to replace them, and you're basically paying overtime for it. And that's what this is for. The state was funding some of this. They are not funding any of it any longer. Fun stuff.
Why did the training stop?
It hasn't stopped.
No, why did the state stop funding it?
It was one of those knee-jerk reactions to the school shooting in Solon, and they said, oh, now you gotta train, right, or something like that. No, it was the cops that killed the kid in Cleveland or something, right? And
Yeah,
Mike-
I don't know why they did
I
it.
think it is, and Mike DeWine came in and
Whoever
said,
knows
you
what
guys gotta
Columbus does what they
do
do."
all this extensive training, and now they've pulled it back.
So-
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
So you think this isn't the cost to go to the training? You think this is to pay the overtime for somebody?
Well, I
to
know it
fill-
is. It's a salaries and benefit line item that comes out of it.
But you have the overtime built into the salaries and benefits line every year. So every year, we have $32,000 in overtime to do
They
training?
allocate this to this separate account.
Because we used to spend $200,000 or $300,000 on overtime back in the day, and I thought he told me the overtime.
Well, back then, what started this was the fact that the state came along and says, okay, guys, now you have to have a mandatory so many hours of training. Because before that, you didn't. And when they came in with that rule, they said, oh, and by the way, we will fund some of that. So that's when we created this separate sub-account just for that. But now, like I said, the funding that, partial funding we were getting, we are not getting anymore. But the training, as far as I'm aware, those requirements are still there.
So the 33,000 is in there? 32,000, 33,000.
No, it's not right now. Right now, it's at 75,366. Sheriff's saying he needs 107,626. They actually spent 72,214 in 2017.
Is that that's a mandated training?
Yeah, I think they have to get like 40 hours, like continuing education credits.
Well, if it's mandated, I don't know where you have a choice.
I'm confused on I'm going back to the long sheet, 7,055,000, which includes sheets, blah, 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 blah. What you're saying in those sheets, what you're asking is 7,055,000 plus 33 for that, or plus 32 for the training overtime,
Yep.
which now brings the budget to 7,150,000. Right?
Yes,
That's what you're asking us.
correct.
Well, 7,088,000.
I'm looking back on the old sheets. I guess it hasn't. I thought I saw a sheet that it was at 7,000,001.
Well, if you look at page 24, it's less than that.
Yeah, it was 7,250,000 was what we originally started with back in the day.
Well, we dropped the, what did we take off there?
You remember this? That's the number that's stuck in my mind.
That's probably 2016's budget, I'll bet.
No, it's right here. It's from,
Are you looking at that forecast?
no, I'm looking at the 2-1 long sheet. Right there, that one. That's what we started with. I just remember that number. The point is, we're still under that number. What we started with in 2-1.
know
That was
how,
when we were still in the estimate phase.
I know.
With the green on it.
Yeah, with the green, yeah.
That was like estimated.
Do you think I don't pay attention?
I know you paid it.
Yeah, if you look back, the reason I asked for that sheet, the score sheet, that's why I asked for this.
I mean, we went from almost 6 million in 14. We're gonna be over 7.1 in 18, and we're projected.
Well, but, you know, the interesting thing on this sheet is if you go back to the sheriff, before I got in here, was 7,000,003, 7,086,000, and then in 2009, he dropped down to 6,092,000 when we had the big cuts. And then he kind of hovered all the way around 6 million until 15, 6,000,005, 6,000,008, 17 was 7 million. And I think you're gonna see that's because he kept picking up, Pete, correct me if I'm wrong, these extra folks that are in here in township and, right?
No,
That's not in there?
those aren't in there, that's separate.
Well, where's the extra?
Well, extra, number one is, remember, we held back on vehicles, and then we gotta get caught up. But also the bargaining contracts, and health insurance increases,
$500,000 though?
yeah. Between all of those, yeah. And we may have added some people as well.
So, in that money, you're 100% sure doesn't include these extra positions? What do you call them? Those are on separate sheets? What do you call those?
We call them.
SRO?
Oh, yeah, our contract deputies.
And there's,
That's here in township.
They're on page 26.
Yeah.
Are the SROs.
Oh, there's,
Here in township,
here in township and the SROs,
Yeah.
if you want to call it BG and
BGSU.
Right.
so that's 650 more thousand.
That's outside the general.
Well, it's still being spent.
Right.
But they're paying us.
Well,
Maybe we just need some clarification on why this year there's 30,000 or, 30,000 in additional training.
It's overtime.
But what training standard changed that he was meeting it last year, not this year?
I think he spent it last year too, right?
No.
He spent like 70,
But now he's asking for
he's
107,000.
asking for another 30.
Why would you say no?
Well, I think, my recollection is that it was a state mandated training that the money went away. Or maybe even the mandate went away and he just wants to keep the training.
He wants to keep training.
I think that's what it is.
I think that with the mandate went the money.
I mean, maybe
the
we could-
funding.
Let's get more information.
Okay, well, let's talk to him.
Because,
So
concern.
So at this point, no.
that's a no, and we need more information
Yeah.
for the 32,000.
We're gonna talk to
Let's,
Sheriff.
let's just hold off on the whole
Let's hold
sheriff's
off
one.
on the sheriff thing.
Do you want to do FCFC real quick, since Melissa's here? Which is page 32.
Mm-hmm. What'd you decide?
So, Melissa, will you just tell us about this health insurance stipend?
So I'm part-time here in Erie County and part-time in Huron County. In Huron County, when I was hired about a year and a half or so ago, they offered me a health insurance stipend. And so I found some documentation on it. It's been the same amount for about 12 years, or at least 12 years. So right now it's $1,560. And so I'm going to ask the council to consider raising that to $3,000 this year. It will come from our budget that's already been approved by the commissioners in Huron County. We already have it as part of the salary. There's enough money there to cover it. It's just getting the council approval because they set the rate for the coordinators' hours and the health insurance stipend.
So you're looking for Erie County, which that currently you do not get a stipend from Erie
Right.
County. So
When
you're
I-
looking for us to throw in another 3,000?
When I was hired in, I asked if that could be part of the package, and Pete had said we could visit it later and see if it could be included in the budget. So
Yeah,
that's,
essentially what I said is if we could find the money, additional, revenues, and work it out with Huron County, that'd be fine. I just don't know if we've gotten the additional revenues or not.
Is
I-
Huron County putting money in?
so the way that it works is pretty much all the money that we're spending in Huron County, I'm making sure that the balanced budget and I have that revenue coming in. So that $3,000 is not coming out of anywhere except what the FCFC is bringing in. And that's what I would expect from this budget too, is we have
A general fund.
No, it's not general fund.
No.
We have the Strong Families Safe Communities grant where we've budgeted $8,000 of that for my hourly wages, so that's something that we haven't necessarily accessed before, and that money could be taken out of that. I mean, I know that's a different fund,
So
but
let me ask you this, do you give them a bill for the cost of your insurance? Or this is just a raise?
yeah, it's just they give it to me annually. It's just they don't ask for any.
Bonus, actually.
I mean, it's a
Yeah.
bonus.
But they say it's really for this.
Right.
But that was,
So that's how taxability wise, that's how it's treated.
but that was also something that was discussed as part of your compensation package when you were hired. It just never happened.
We discussed the possibility, and knowing that we were in the middle of the fiscal year, it'd have to be visited later, I think.
Okay.
All
All right, well,
thank-
have your board make a recommendation,
The
the
council?
council needs to make a recommendation to us, but.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
and then we're okay with the charity tracker?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
he already said that.
You wanna go
So-
into executive session
Is that what we're doing?
and finish up?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Well, did you guys decide on the sheriff and
No, we're
gonna
gonna,
hold
we're gonna
off.
talk to the
the
sheriff.
scanner too?
So we'll just hold off on the
Yeah,
whole thing.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna move to go into executive session to talk about compensation.
Second?
Mr. Shenico?
Yes.
Mr. Old?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Are you gonna flip the signs?
Oh.
Thank you.
Did you look at that?
I'm trying to get a cleaner copy.
'Cause I only got the auditors, I didn't get everything.
Oh, I'll get it to
Is
you.
that everything?
You
The
ready?
recording's on, you're in session.
Okay. Going back to revisit a couple of these requests, one coming out of Judge Tone's office, which was, do some pay increases that appear to be justified, and to get his special projects on parity with the other judge. This is a net additional about $110,000 to that budget. Okay?
Okay.
All right. The next one was under adult probation. This is some of the significant grant funding going away, but, I think we've also discovered that the one new grant, we could assign the same payroll over to. So I recommend we go ahead and do that.
Under TCAP.
Yeah, under TCAP.
Okay.
All righty. Do we want to go to page 27 and talk about, and we only have a few more pages left in the packet. Unless you guys have anything else you wanted to add.
So page 27.
Page 27 is the county auditor's real estate assessment fund.
Which I add we have no say in, I've been told.
Well, you could say no and let him go to the state.
What became a dropped request for part of a full-time position and capital cost became a modified request for additional part-time staff, which I feel is justified with the real estate
This is where he's
revalue, the situation that they're in right now.
weights and scales person.
They had part-time before, and this is just an increase in the part-time.
I don't think it is. You talking?
Yeah, this is not the weights and scales person.
No, it is not.
It is not, but
This
in the
is-
end, are they gonna end up being the weights and scales person?
I don't,
Only that official can answer that question.
yeah.
Wouldn't we have
From
to
what I-
approve that hiring?
No, just have them go over and start learning 3 years' worth of training to become a weights and scales
Right.
person.
Well, again, we approve the appropriations.
Right.
So if he wanted to do that, we would still sign off on it.
No?
You really don't have any control what's going on in his office.
Real estate?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, what he uses
We
that,
could-
what he uses
we
that
could-
money for, I mean, he could,
we could set our appropriation. If he disagrees with the other appropriation, he can go to the state and petition it. Bottom line.
This says merit increases. This is how we got started on this whole topic
Right.
last week, right? When we were looking at 27.
Yeah, we sent you copies of their payroll worksheets, and on their payroll worksheet for the general fund, they showed a number of salary adjustments, and those were listed as 2017 adjustments. Then what they informed me in the course of meeting and talking with them numerous times was, after they did what they did last year in the general fund, they used their same logic to their real estate personnel, and they felt there was suggestions that they wanted to make pay increases there, so
Yeah, but, boy,
there was 3 or 4 positions that plus, yeah, the part-time.
all right, maybe this is the way to approach this. Have they been through HR on the scoring to get this raise? You know, everybody.
Point factor.
The point factor. We make everybody that we do justify. And,
It's-
you know, I just don't, I can't look at, you know, some of the other departments, look them in the eye and go, well, we can't give this to you, but yet they go, well, yeah, but what about that over there? I mean, you ought to be of all people. It's not right. It's just not right. The disparity is so big right now.
I mean, my question is, how do we tell everybody we're at a pay freeze? Except
Unelected official.
except for these people.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't a pay freeze a pay freeze? Now, I get there's circumstances of family expansion, marriages, I get there's,
Point
There-
factor.
There are sections in the budget policies where it identifies what we do in finance, and it's basically, we take the salary roster at the beginning of the budget year, we apply our policies to them. If a person halfway through the year quits, and that department decides to not replace that person, and they take those wages and give it to those people remaining, and we can't stop that.
and I have no problem.
And basically,
Nobody's quit down there.
our analysis is, if we take the rates of pay that were part of in this budget cycle, we took what people were authorized in 17's budget, and looked at it and to try to determine whether or not wages and fringes were going up because of pay increases in the general fund for the auditor's office. We knew there was a process that was authorized by the board at the end of 17. We analyzed the real
That
estate.
isn't what's happening now, Ed. What you're asking us now is to appropriate more money to give future raises.
Right.
And
And and again, what I was told by the department is they did not go through the HR process for real estate.
I thought we did.
I thought they did too.
Yeah.
No, we did the auditor's office and real estate all at the same time, late last year.
And we gave that, and not we, he gave that money, but now you're coming back to the well again.
Yeah, if they're
And-
coming back to the well again, I don't know, that's
Let me
different
ask-
positions.
Let me ask a
We looked at
clarifying.
we didn't look at everybody, we just looked at certain people.
Let me ask a clarifying question. Does he want additional money, or he already has this money, right?
It's in his
In
account.
his account.
Right.
Yeah, but we're gonna get accused by 700 other people of not, what's,
All those other people don't have access to the payroll as this elected official in those records, unless they make a public record request.
I didn't finish my point that I was attempting to make, and that's, we set budget limits. We do not say, Mr. Shenigo, here's your raise in the real estate department. Mr. Old, here's your rate of pay. It's up to that elected official to decide. I mean, once we set the budget, then as long as they don't have to come back and get more money or exceed the allocation, we can't stop them. Now, we will analyze if somebody tries to defer adjustments for late in the year. That's in part why anything that happens after October is not approved.
But didn't we move that number to
May.
month to May?
Yeah, we did.
Right. But I'm just saying, in the past, those are things that we look for. Did somebody, you approve a 1% raise and somebody waits until November and gives a 4. It'll fit in the budget, but then when you hit next year, all of a sudden, things are gonna blow up real quick.
exactly. And now that we know what we know, that's, I think what Matt's saying. We know what we know what is happening, and these are so big. And we don't have the point factor analysis, and you're saying, well, just kind of look the other way because it's not really yours and it's not really coming out of the general fund. But yet, if we say, oh, okay, you're right, then how do we explain that to you when you don't get a pay raise? Seems fair to me.
I said, you have options.
Seems like we're gonna get the brunt of this.
One
Yeah.
way or the other.
One way or the other, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd rather, I mean, have you talked to him about this?
No, the merit part is brand new to me. I didn't remember hearing anything about this. This was all after the weights and measures thing.
Well, he presented in his weights and measures request a part-time person for real estate too.
Right.
I mean, that was present, but
Oh, he
the
did?
merit,
I don't remember that.
yeah, but the merit increases, essentially it was one person that was gonna do part-time weights and measures, part-time real estate for the
Oh,
reeval
you're
year.
right.
That's how he presented it. Now he's just saying he wants a part-time person in real estate.
Right.
But is this position gonna go away when the reeval year is over?
Well, let's get that it's only part-time for the real estate, for just that, it's only for 1 year.
Actually, that's supposed to be done by the end of this year.
So it's only a few months.
Yeah, only a few months.
Well, let's see if he'll agree to that.
Well, at least get on the record. I mean, we don't have any more houses, right? There's no new construct, population of Erie County is going down. There'd be no reason that I can see why we would have to extend staffing. I mean, I can get that there's more work in a reeval year, okay. Maybe I can get that. But I mean, if we're gonna be looking at a legacy person here for the rest of time,
You know, we hire somebody, a company to come in and help us out with the reval, for
Well-
all that extra work.
of course,
How much do we pay that company?
It's a lot of
a
money.
lot.
It's like $500,000 or something, isn't it?
Could be.
So if we're spending all that money for that company, what's this part-time person gonna do? I don't know, I'm in principle, I just don't think it's right.
Well, let's find the answer to that question and bring it back. I mean, if it's in his budget, it's in his budget. I will get people's argument about micromanaging, but spending money for the sake of spending money is, I mean, at some point, we do have to draw a line. All right, let's go on to ditch maintenance.
I thought we did too. I think we were fine with it. He wants to clean more ditches under contract services, right?
Yeah, that was really, I think, the only thing there.
Everything's okay
And
there?
maybe it wasn't maybe formally approved.
Okay. They both are though?
Yep.
I think so.
Page 29.
Mm-hmm.
What was the problem there?
I think we were talking about the, in part, the salt barn.
I thought we suggested that we would maybe put the money up and he could pay us back over 2 or 3 years,
Or a year.
or a year.
A year, yeah.
And he sent
Yeah.
me an email that he sent, asked Jack that, and
But
he still said, it's our building, but
Yeah.
he agreed to it.
he basically said he would lock in our price at what he asked for, that if we put in that amount, then he would guarantee we would not have to pay any more. And if he was able to get a better price on the building than what he's estimating right now, then our costs would go down.
That isn't what he just said.
I understand. But in my email, I'm pretty sure, Pete, what I said was he more or less would give us a guarantee. He was
Yeah.
not promising to give us money back.
Oh, he didn't?
No,
Oh,
yeah. I was,
okay, I misunderstood that.
yeah. The email more or less said that, yes, he feels it's our building and that we have a responsibility in this situation.
Real-
And if you want to wait, and not replace the building and,
It's up
let
to
it
him
fall
to
down.
replace that building.
well,
I mean, the sheriff just put up a little barn. Did we pay for that?
No.
Right?
yeah,
Well, look, we're trying to make payroll here. We don't have money for salt barns. I mean, we just spent all that time on probation officers and, people that we need. You got 700 probation or 700 people on probation and 7 people watching them. I'm more worried about that than I am a new salt barn.
Yeah.
Especially when we got the money. I mean,
I must have read that email too quick. I thought while he was squawking, he goes, okay, I'll agree to it.
no,
would
not,
it be worth a phone call to him to clarify? Because otherwise, I think we're not going to.
Read it out loud.
I mean, Pete, we don't have room for it anywhere.
yeah. I can't find it. I know I still have it, but that's basically what he, yeah, I wrote, called Mr. Farshman about his request for $145,881 for the motor vehicle share of the salt barn. Asked if he would agree to pay his half this year, and the county would advance their half this year. His budget would repay the county in 2019. And then I said, besides him stating it's our building, he was willing to have our amount of 145 be a not to exceed amount. So if the actual cost is the 291, our cost would not change from the 145. If the cost would be less than the 291, our cost would decrease accordingly. And I said I would share it with Pete.
Yes, he's not saying he was paid.
No,
He's gonna do
no,
that.
he's given us a price guarantee.
I
Not
think
to
we had a
exceed.
price guarantee when we only appropriated 145,000.
I understand.
You could always do them tarps like they do down at the city. Put a tarp over it and buy that for 145.
He's got a whole bunch of them, because remember when he built that big salt mound in the that one part, or the storage area over there? He's got all the tarps he needs.
I just
He
don't,
put a tarp on that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Remember he bought that extra because the price was so low?
yeah, that's right, I forgot about
I
that.
just don't know, I mean, we gotta worry about making payroll before we worry about buildings.
Well, I mean, my offer stands to advance the money, but if not, then I'm a no.
And he can, if he wants to budget the whole thing in his budget, fine.
He's got money in the budget.
We're not budgeting anything out of any of our funds for it. Because we can't. Sorry, I read that the wrong way.
What's new in the county court? I thought we were.
Is that it?
Now he's got county court.
We were okay with everything in county court.
Yeah, we're okay with everything in there.
Looked at the wall line burn, and nothing, other than the furniture.
I think we're good.
Isn't that furniture we had?
All right.
Okay?
Thank you, guys. for,
Put the wheels
good
in
day,
motion.
good work. If there's no further business, I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Mr. Olds?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan? Mr. Shenko?
Yes.